Boom. Welcome back to the Get Louder podcast, y'all. I'm Brandon Lewis.
I'm Jay Pro.
That's right. And we have a very special guest in the house from Simple Roots Plant Design. Her name is Sally Reed, and she's in the house today.
Hit the intro.
Welcome, Sally Reed. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. And I love that intro.
Awesome. Well, we're very happy to have you here today. You are a very special guest because I know you personally, but also because of the business that you're in. And we're just excited to learn about you and about it and about what it is that you do and how it got started and all these things, right?
Yeah.
We got the plant ninja in the house.
How did you get that name, the Plant Ninja, first of all?
I don't actually know how it started. We were talking a little bit about how I acquired and purchased this company, and I don't know. I do a lot of stuff with the San Diego Architectural Foundation, and we have a lot of fun. There's like amazing people, and I'm like a small dog in a very wide, big ocean, and I don't really belong there, but the people are awesome.
Yeah.
And somehow we had an event, and they were just like, yeah, she's just like this ninja with plants. And I was like, that's kind of a fun tagline. And like half of the people don't even know what the name of my company is. They're just like, oh, Plant Ninja. Like under every account, like every nursery is just like
It
Plant
just says
Ninja.
Plant
I'm
Ninja.
like, all right, that's
Wow.
fine. So, yeah.
Have you considered renaming?
So I should
Company.
at this point, but rebranding is expensive and hard. And
For sure.
But yeah, it's been fun, and it's just a fun tagline, and people get really into it, and people want to buy my shirt all the
Right.
time, and I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
that's kind of weird, but
Oh, you
yeah,
gotta
okay, we
make
can do that.
Plant
I know.
Ninja shirts.
That's
That
pretty
would be
cool,
freaking
actually.
awesome.
Yeah,
It is cool.
People love plants. It's not just like a millennial thing. Like people actually really love plants, and they want them everywhere. Some people
Yeah.
want a jungle. Some people just want one little succulent, and
Right.
I'm that person.
If it was up to me, we'd have a jungle in here.
Yeah,
I can make
for
that
sure.
happen.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make that
You know
happen.
what? We might have to make that happen.
Yeah, I think so.
We need a jungle.
Jungle
Yeah.
vibes are dope.
Jungle
Love
vibes.
I want to have
vibes.
like a little like seating area on the corner, and it's just
Having
like
like a
just,
plant tickle your head.
Just a
and
plant
just,
something in your head, overhanging plant,
growing out of the back.
plant corner.
I can make
Exactly.
it happen. I can
We should make it that way.
Well, plants like they have multiple. They're good because they clean the oxygen. They make the place feel earthy and fresh.
They do.
They
do all
look.
these
They have a
things.
calming effect to
They
them.
do. There's a lot of studies that.
So tell us about like just your general service and then what it is you do for different businesses, all the different types of
Okay,
things.
so I want to back up and answer the question you asked of
Yeah.
how did I get into this, because
Right.
that was like a very random. I moved to San Diego a couple years ago. I was doing headhunting for a really small boutique firm, which was really fun, but I realized that was not my true passion. And my brother-in-law was actually in a business club, and he met this lady. Her name's Abby, and she was looking to sell and her business and retire. And so everyone kept being like, "Oh, Sally, you love plants. Like, you should hang out with this girl." And then I would hear it from other people, and it was just like the world was not aligned at the time. And then we
Right.
finally met, and I was like, "I love her." And she kept telling me, "You're going to buy this business." And I was like, "I'm absolutely not, but thank you so much for thinking of me." And ultimately, I just was like, "Yeah, let's do it. You asked enough times." And she was like, "I've been hounded by a lot of people, and I wanted to sell it to you." So I bought it, not really knowing what I was doing. Like I was kind of like lost and just trying to figure out where my next move was. And so I thought, plants are fun.
Yeah.
Like, why not? I love plants. And so I bought it, and it's been profitable and amazing. And it was a very turnkey. I always like to give her a lot of the credit, 'cause
Yeah.
she owned it for 44 years.
Wow.
So yeah, she grew it and then kind of
She grew it.
Yeah, and then brought
Get
it.
Were you
Yeah.
were you in the
Clip
market?
that.
Yes. Yeah. So
Were you like in the market? Like, were you
No.
thinking about buying a business potentially, or like
100%
where were you
no.
at in your life before this happened? Like, what was, like, I guess.
I literally left my headhunting position.
Yeah.
In I think it was March. It was literally like the week before COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can do this on my own. This is insane. I'm making no money working for this company, and I can do everything alone and just make either the same amount of money or blow it up.
So you're doing headhunting, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so, and I had a couple contacts back in Santa Rosa in wine country that were also doing some recruiting stuff. So we were kind of like feeding each other business. And I was absolutely not in the market, but I had kind of started this consulting company, and people kept asking me to take care of their plants, or like, come over and like, can you help my plants? And I was like, this is super weird. I don't know why. Like, yes, I will.
Why would they? How?
I also can't say no. Like, I'm very bad at saying no. Some people are like, do you want to go skydiving? And I'm like, sure, why not? I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, so I was not at all looking for this.
Right.
But it just fell in my lap, and it just worked out.
What is the greatest issue people have with keeping their plants alive?
Overwatering.
Overwatering.
Mm-hmm.
So watering too much. I thought it would have been watering too little.
All the plants that I've had that died, that's because I didn't water them. And then I found out, they say, hey, if you want to look at how your life is going, look at the plants in your house.
It's a good assessment. It's a very
all your
fair
plants are
assessment.
dead, you don't got your things together.
Well, it's actually really funny because half of the plants in my house are dead, and I'm like, I'm only getting paid to take care of these plants outside of my home. Like,
Right.
these are like my little soldiers, and if they
Yeah.
make it, survival of the fittest. I got 2 kids. I got to keep those guys alive.
Right? Yeah.
Plants are back burner for sure. So
What are some great starter plants if people want to start getting into plants? Something low maintenance. What's a couple? Give us a few great starter plants.
well, anything in the Dracaena family, which I'm sure is like, what is that?
Right.
But anything that some people call them like corn plants. A lot of people like spider plants, but they're not necessarily my favorite. A lot of people go like fiddle leaf fig. That's not a good one. I mean, if you have luck with any type of plant, stay in your lane. Stay with that. But there's so many good ones in the Dracaena family. They're usually pretty hardy and pretty easy, and you can get little 4-inch all the way up to huge trees.
Right.
So I mean, you're kind of in a good water them, don't water them.
Right.
Talk to them.
They'll be
Don't talk to them. You know, like it's just
Play
like
music for 'em.
You know, they're cool. They're chill. So that I always say, just go in that direction. So,
Right,
And like
okay.
succulents, but a lot of people overwater them.
Yeah, because they don't need a lot of water at all, right? They're like desert plants.
Yeah, and I'm from Arizona, so I believe in cactus 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's my jam. So.
Why? You know, I don't understand is why do people want cactus inside their house? You know, I had a bad experience with cactus when I was little.
When I fell on it.
So, well, even like, you know, the little, they have the cactus, it's sort of flat, and it has like the little red fuzzies on it,
Yeah.
little red dots on it. So when I was a kid, I was like, I want to pet that.
looks fun.
It seems like a fun idea.
Ran my finger through it and learned my lesson.
I have a traumatic memory as well from a cactus that I fell onto during playtime, and it was like full, like both hands, every single part of my hand had the memory that I have is trying to get them out in the sink, washing my hands and just feeling all the needles. Yeah, it was painful.
No.
I don't know why I think about that like at least once a month. It just pops up in my head.
Really need
My
to
brain's
dive
like,
into the root
do you
of
remember
that.
when you fell on that cactus?
Once a month. Oh my god.
I don't know why.
We
It's
really,
weird.
we
That's
gotta
that's
dive
an
into that one.
embedded memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pun.
Literally.
Embedded in my freaking hands.
Yeah, that just.
So I want everybody to know more about. So yes, you go to businesses.
Yes.
You have businesses as clients, and you water their plants. You keep their plants alive. But there's way more to what you do, right?
Yes.
There's more on like the design side, correct?
Okay, this also
Let's talk
goes back
about
to
it.
because I can't say no.
Right.
I try very hard to stay inside. So anything in residential or commercial, that's my jam.
Right.
I have been dabbling in 3D renderings for outside stuff. So for like multifamily units, giving them design of what they should do outside. As far as inside with apartments and things like that, it's really hard. People live there. It's hard to like get in and out. Everyone's kind of coming and going. But then as far as designing for commercial spaces,
Right.
that's been pretty fun.
So tell us more about that.
Every space is different,
Yeah.
right? So it's like every office you work in is different, every desk you have is different, so the environment is going to be different. And as nerdy and cheesy as it sounds, it makes a difference where the plants go. I mean, some just cannot thrive in certain areas, and some are not going to make it. I mean, it's like a death sentence for some offices. So I like to go in and kind of see what the vibe is, and if it's like really bright and happy, or if it's like a don't want to use a law office, but like if it's just like a very like
A
somber,
boring law
boring,
firm. A super boring law firm. Just
a lot
say
of
it.
dark cherry wood.
Yeah.
I try to like liven it up, but also keeping the same temperature of whatever is going on in there. So I have clients who love color and want, bromeliads and orchids and, a lot of big plants and, very tropical. And then I have other companies or clients that are like, I want the same tree in every room. Okay. So
really?
it just kind of depends on what they're looking for. I mean, I put in green walls, I've put in huge planters, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Trying really hard to stay away from fake stuff. It's not my jam.
Away from what?
Fake stuff.
Oh, fake stuff.
But there are some offices that do not have airflow and do not have light, and that's kind of what you need.
What about our office? Like, give us an example. What would be the best plants to thrive? The most beautiful plants, the best ones, the ones that we all want. What about the Maseratis? Will those be good for
A Maserati?
the Maserati? No, not the Maseratis.
You need a big tree here, not this fake situation. You need a big tree here.
Uh-huh.
You've got amazing light. Do something, pretty, a little pothos, cascading. Those are pretty easy. There's a ton of things. It's really based on like what you're feeling, what you like, and darker, lighter, and budget.
Right.
So
when you go in though, are you like you analyze the space and you basically kind of give like a layout or suggestions? Like how do you,
Yes, so I give them a couple different options. And I usually, if I work with the designer or if I'm working with the architect or whoever, I will say this. Plants are always the first on the chopping list and always have the lowest budgets.
Got it.
Everyone's like, let's do 75 plant walls and let's do this, and this. And then
plant
when
walls.
we come down, we're like a 4-inch potted plant on a desk. I'm like, got it. So I try and give a lot of different options of like, hey, we can do this, this, and this. This is kind of the basic, right? And then we can elevate it and we can do a little bit more. Or we can take it crazy jungle style and like do it up. But it also comes with a maintenance contract. So yes, I can install it and make it look really beautiful, but if you don't have the right person or if they want to hire outside, that's totally fine. I don't care. But as far as I do it in my business is to have a maintenance contract for at least a year to get the plants in there and then take care of them. So it's like they don't have to worry about it.
That's cool.
So it's like I'm like an elevated janitor. I'm the help. I really am the help. Yeah.
But the design aspect of it is what makes it really cool.
Yeah, and it's fun, and I try and get them. If it's a company that just is like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Here's the budget. Go. Then I just don't even ask questions. I'm just like, nope, this is what I want to do, and this is what's going to work the best here. But for a lot of residential, they're like, what do you think? And they want a lot of feedback. And so for me, it's really important to like get them on board and get them excited. And then, if the girls, we call them the girls, aren't doing well, if somebody's really struggling, then we talk to them, and it's
the
nerdy.
plant.
I think that's very important when it comes to professionalism. When people know they want plants, they don't know the names of the plants, they don't know the plants, and they want to be like, well, you're the professional. What do you think is going to be the best? And then you sort of consult with them there, be like, well, do you want palm trees? Well, no, palm trees, that's a little intense. Okay, so we know you don't want palm trees. Well, do you want cactus everywhere? Okay, so we know you don't want cactus. You'd be like, you know what, this, and you know the trends and what looks good right now, and also your personal taste and style. And be like, I think this will look good. Show them an image of it, and they agree to it, and boom, boom, bang.
How big does the budget have to be for you to do a design or a 3D rendering or whatever?
Again, I have a hard time saying no. I mean, I talked to a mom at a PTG meeting last night, and she was like, well, what if I like baked you cookies? And I was like, I think that could work. It can be as big or small as you want it to be. I mean, if you're a single person and you have an apartment and you have a cat or a dog or something, and you're like, oh, we just need to liven this up. I'm not going to put in something that's going to be like a death sentence for that animal. It's like, so it's a lot of little factors, but I mean, it can be anywhere from, I've raised my prices a little bit just because I kind of have to, just to be competitive, but my minimum is $125 just for maintenance for a monthly fee. So anything above that, I mean, that's literally for me just to show up at your house, whether you have one plant and then it goes up from there. So
and then it's a per plant basis after that?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I do like a guarantee and then also a non-guarantee. So I charge more monthly if it's guaranteed, but if anything goes wrong or the plant dies or somebody like knocks over the vase or kills
So you
it or
basically get like a
whatever.
warranty. Like
Yeah,
if the plant
so-
dies and I'm paying for the guarantee,
Yeah.
then you replace it.
Yeah, for free.
Oh, dope.
And if it like gets, I mean, I have some older trees that are like 15 or 16 years old that were grandfathered in that are still under the guarantee. I mean, at this rate, it's very hard for me to replace a 15-year-old tree. Where am I going to find that, right? But because there's only been 2 people who have owned this business before me, it makes it a little bit easier that it's been a very personal touch on each account. And so we've kept it small enough where if I went back and I was like, hey, that started out as a 5-gallon dracaena or whatever, then that's what I would replace it as.
Huh.
But
what plants are toxic to pets?
there's a long list on Google that I Google every time.
Really? Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's
What
a bunch
are
of
some
them.
example of like very popular, like maybe 3 popular plants that people love to have in their house, but just end up being toxic to their animals?
Yeah.
There's more than you would think, to be honest. I try and stay away from, I think, monsteras.
Monstera was what I was actually trying to.
Yeah, Maserati. I mean,
Maseratis.
it's easy to confuse those two.
So monsteras are toxic to animals.
I believe they are. There's a couple other. You're putting
have
me on the
those?
spot.
Yeah, I have a
Well,
monstera.
here, okay, and I will say
and my
this.
cat likes to play with it.
I will say this.
We're actually gonna bring it
If you
here.
have, bring it in here. I'll nurse it back to life or
Yeah.
whatever status it's at. If you have certain plants and they're not a problem with your animals, you're fine. You're fine. And a lot of people freak out. They're like, I can't have this toxic thing in my house. I'm like, it's not toxic. Like it's going to be fine. But if you have a little kitten that's going to be eating stuff, like you don't want to put in like a maidenhair fern or like some of these other ones that are just like they're very attractive to pets and they want to eat them. So
Yeah. So can you give us like a list? Because I know what you're trying to get at. Give us a list of like 1, 2, or 3 plants that you think that are most common that you see and that people really love. Like your top 3 plants. Like these are the best plants to have in your house or in your office. Give us something.
Okay. Well, I would start off with ZZ plants. I don't know if you've ever seen these. They're like really tall and they have really pretty leaves. A lot of people love those, and those are like the easiest plant you could ever possibly have.
Mm-hmm.
However, once they start to grow and get crazy, they like literally go just like from
They take
neutral
over.
to jungle. Like it's like there's no like in between. It's just like whoa, one day like they're huge.
Yeah.
I'm a firm fan of dracaenas, but since I already talked about those, we'll talk about philodendrons.
Okay.
So philodendrons are awesome. A lot of people would not recognize some of the names because they're obviously like the plant name, but philodendron Congo looks like just something straight out of the tropics. Like it's just so tropical and beautiful, and the leaves are big, and you can grow them, and they get huge. And there's a million different types of them. So some of them are like curved-leaved. I can get really nerdy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I would say, they're not my favorite, but if you can do it, the fiddly figs. I mean, they're so pretty, and people love them. And this is
fiddly
like
figs.
a huge problem for me that I run into because people are like, "Can we get one of those?" And I'm like, "We can." But it's a 50-50. Like
Is it expensive or they're just hard to
they're
find?
No, it's not that they're hard to find, and they're not. I mean, they're middle of the road expensive, but they are either super happy or they just hate life. So they're just like the watering is always a situation, which you would never think watering is like that big of a problem, but it's like overwater or too much water or underwatered. It's a mess.
And that's why
I
you're
know.
like, so just in case, just so the plant doesn't die,
Yeah.
just hire me. I'll come every week and
Yeah.
boom.
Put it under a
And I
guarantee,
got you.
and then it's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Like it's an umbrella policy, right? Like
Right?
you're covered. But yeah, it is wild. Like I said, I never would have imagined this was my trajectory, but it's been really fun. And like I said, I've learned a ton about plants, and my mentor, Abby, who I bought this from, she's always like quizzing me, and I'm like,
Oh, really?
I don't know what that is. Like I like that one. She's like,
I have a nice
Embarrassing.
little quiz for you right now.
oh God.
What are the best plants to repel these dang mosquitoes?
Ooh,
Citronella.
Citronella?
citronella.
But they need a lot of sun. So that's the thing with citronella. I mean, obviously citronella candles, right?
Right.
But they smell really good, and they do work, but they're kind of hard to keep inside and keep alive. So,
Right. They meant to be outdoors.
most
mainly?
of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea, and just a little pro tip, is I water my plants every 2 weeks. And people are sometimes really shocked at that. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yes. So I water them on a 2-week basis. So I train them to basically completely dry out in that 2-week period, and then you water them again. So it's like a full cycle.
And is it because like the roots they have to like grow stronger to get the water out again, or it's like what's the science behind it?
So when you're
Come on, you got
really
this.
nerdy.
You got
okay,
this.
so
Get
when you're
nerdy.
watering,
Yeah.
oh God. Okay, so when you're watering a plant, let's just say it's in a container, you really want the first 2 to 3 inches to be wet.
Okay.
Or moist. 2 words that are not in the same sentence. Okay. Anyway, so you want them to have some kind of moisture in there. And then throughout that 2-week process, the water is going to move down and the roots are going to utilize that water, right? So if you water it too much and your roots are sitting in water, basically what's happening is you're getting root rot over time. And although the plant is thriving on the top and looks totally normal and fine, everything that's going on under the dirt and at the root of things is wreaking havoc. So like there's times where I'll go into like a public spot, like I have a bunch of car dealerships, and I'll go in and plants are sitting in water. I'm just like, that was me.
That was me.
It wasn't me. So I know people, and they're trying to water a plant, like you've got an extra water bottle or whatever.
And they feel great about it. They're like,
Right.
I'm on top of this.
But little do they know, they're murdering this said plant.
Yeah.
So the amount of times, I mean, the things I have found in planters is wild. The most recent one was chocolate milk, which I was very, that was pretty fun. Yeah.
What about Gatorade?
Lots of things. I was like, wow, people, this is where we're at. It's 2023.
Coffee.
Okay.
What about coffee? What's the whole thing with coffee?
For sure. You don't want to put.
coffee
You don't
can't
want
be
to
that bad
put.
for plants.
Coffee grounds you can put in the soil, and that's to put in different like nutrients and nitrogen, or not nitrogen, but like just to put in different things. You're really looking, like when you're fertilizing plants, you want to look for what the plant is like struggling with. So if you really get super nerdy, you can test the soil and you can do all this stuff. I don't do that. That is not my jam. I'm not a soil major.
Not a botanist.
Not a botanist. I played in vineyards for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I did learn a lot about it. But my point is, with coffee grounds, you want to use them sparingly. And honestly, for house plants, you can get like a little home fertilizer or just like a little Miracle Grow. And it's just super easy, and just fertilize every 2 weeks and you're fine. So
I think that's some good game for everybody, with the 2-week thing. Because like you said, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That seems like not enough.
yeah, and
Like
then
just-
people panic because they're
Right.
like, oh my God, the soil is cracking on the top and it's dry and my plant is dying. And it's like, no, what's going on underneath?
Right.
If we were to lift that out of the pot and see what the soil looked like, it would probably be wet.
Nice. That's cool. So tell us, okay, so I want to go back on the business side of things now. Okay, so you bought the business. It had clients.
Yes.
But what about, like, what changes have you made to it, and like how are you acquiring clients now?
Okay, so that is a great question. I did acquire, I think I bought it. I got a super sick van.
Yes.
She's white and fully unmarked. It's not shady at all. There's not windows on the sides. That's just details.
Right.
But I bought it and I got probably a list of, I want to say 35 clients. Obviously, with change of hands, some left, and then I've added probably about 10 more. So I have about 45, a little under 50 clients right now.
Nice.
Which is perfect amount for just one person. I'm looking to hire out, but that's neither here nor there. Since then, I have grown it in different directions in the sense of working more with architecture firms and design firms and interior design firms to kind of start with like a TI or like a ground up. So there's nothing even
What's
in the
a
building.
TI?
Tenant improvement.
Oh, okay.
So if they clear out a building, they're like, what do we do now? We need to soften it. Can't look like a dentist's office.
Right.
No offense. But so I go in and kind of help with that kind of stuff. So I find with a lot of designers, when I walk into a building, they're going to pick the prettiest plants and put them on a shelf, right? The cutest pots, most trendy stuff. But that's not always going to work in that space. I mean, I took over a multifamily unit down in National City a year and a half ago. And I walked in, every single plant was like on the outs. Like literally, I was like, you guys, I can't guarantee one plant here because it's so bad. And everything has pests and mealybugs and is drowning. And it's just like, as a business, like I can't.
Right.
It took me over a year to get this to a neutral place where all I do is just water.
Right. Wow.
So like, yes, I'm like the little plant lady or whatever, but it's like a lot more than that of just like scrubbing these plants and like they're disgusting. So yeah. So that, as far as the business, I've been able to go to the designers and say, hey, stop putting caletheas and all these pretty, beautiful plants that they will not ever work.
Right.
Don't buy a maidenhair fern ever. You will regret your decision, and you will only have that for 2 days. Like, don't do that. So that is one part. Brandon, I know we talked a little bit. I get stopped for the most random stuff, and people always want to know what fertilizer I use, and I already said. And they always want to know what kind of plant spray. Again, this is like super nerdy, but when I bought this business, my gal Abby showed me how to make this like little spray that helps keep plants clean and shiny and healthy, and so we're gonna start making it in bulk and selling it. So
the magic ninja plant juice.
Yes, that's what I might call it. I don't have a name yet.
I was about to say, we're not going to give you the recipe because you got to pay for that.
No, it's I can't tell you how many times people stop and they're like, "What do you spray on your plants? They look fake." And I'm like, they are absolutely not fake, and this is like all very like not synthetic. Like it's just very natural, and so. There's a bunch of stupid stuff on the shelf and it doesn't work. And so it's just like frustrating as like a business owner to see it and be like, you know what, it's not really doing it for the money. It's more just to like keep their plants alive so they can do my job for me so that they can just go.
Right. That's great. So is that where you see the future of the business going? Like you got a product line and then more in the design side of things?
So I still want to do, what I really like is doing the design and talking to clients. That's definitely where I am thriving. The plants are super fun. I love my girls. But I ultimately I want to grow this business. And so we talked a little bit about, I'm trying to get an internship program going at a horticulture college or program and start funneling people in who actually like want to nerd out about this stuff and are like super excited, but maybe don't have the business side or they don't know how to like come straight from school and be like, how do I get a plant job? Like, you know, and they don't want to work for some of these bigger companies that maybe don't have quite the personal touch, you know? So I'm looking to try and get that going in 2024, grow a little bit more of the Amazon or whatever, like business brand. And then I don't know, I should want to have more clients. I know that I need to keep doing it. It's nice to stay small, and I'm trying really hard to stay in my lane. So
you should do what you want, is what you should do.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Everyone's like, don't you want to grow? I'm like, no, I don't. I want my plants to grow. I want to stay small. So,
but that's funny because we talk to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and everybody has their own idea of growth or success or whatever it is, you know, and like literally, you can't just say one thing. I mean, I have to assume that everybody wants to be happy and everyone wants to have time, but you also want to do what you love. And so it's just like everyone has their own version. Like when we're talking to Jason, you have to define your version of success in order to be able to kind of solidify what your goals are.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times we feel like we're just kind of, whatever happens, I'm just going to pop up and it's going to go that way. But if you can align it earlier with what you truly want and what your version of success is, then you kind of know where to go a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. I worked for a very large, I was in the wine industry before I moved here. And the company I worked for was like more, bigger. And so right out of college, it was like, how can you grow your sales? How can you have more clients? It was just like, how big can you possibly be and still like have a pulse? And I kind of just grew up like filling my plate and just being like, I can take on more. And it wasn't until I went through a pretty bad divorce and moved here that I was like, I don't know why I need more. I know what I need, and I want to be a really good mom to my kids and show up hard for them, but I don't necessarily need millions of dollars in my bank account to make me sleep better at night. So for me, I know that, like I said, I mean, I never thought of myself as the plant lady or plant ninja, but it's so fun. And the people, my clients, like, I love each and every one of them. I've gotten to know a lot of businesses. I've been able to connect a lot of people. I've laughed a lot. Like, I love this life, and I love this portion of it. So I don't want to grow too big or to, have, 300 clients and then I never see them, and I never have, I never bring a bottle of wine for one of my clients' birthdays who loves Sauvignon Blanc, or, I love that personal touch, and I don't want to lose that. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really want some type of internship of people who love plants and love people. Like, I really want to keep fostering that, because that's what my mentor kind of did for me. And she stayed on for 6 months. I mean, she could have been like, deuces, I'm out, but she definitely stuck with me and was like, don't do that. And then of course I would do it. And she was like, I told you so. And I was like, I deserve it. You're right. Like, I did that wrong. So, but to just have that and kind of keep funneling it for people who were, I don't want to say lost, but like kind of in that weird, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how do I make a business out of watering plants?
I didn't even know that was
I didn't either. I actually didn't either. I was like, wait, what? You want me to buy what business? What?
It makes a lot of sense though, because you have landscaping businesses, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the people who come every couple of weeks or every month, whatever, to
cut your grass,
take care of your big plants, your trees, trim your trees, and all that. It would
it's
only
a little version of that.
It would only make sense. Yeah, it's the micro version of outside, but inside. And honestly, like we were saying, like, plants just lively up the place.
It is crazy. You bring in like two, 3 plants, and people are like, dang, it's totally different.
So much
in here.
better.
It's it's like, and then they become fixtures where when you move them or if you take them out, people are like, oh God, what happened to the office? Something, it's wild. It's really wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. I mean,
simple root plant design.
Yeah.
Simple root plant design.
I have a question. Have you ever thought about or been hired or outfitted like an event? Like something that's more temporary. Like, I know I think of like the weddings and stuff, like it's like flowers, but like I don't know. Are there other events that?
This is actually a perfect time. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this or not, but there is an event coming up. It's called Orchids and Onions. It's really big in San Diego. And I was just hired on, and there's no contract yet. Sorry, Polly. But there is get it to my email box. But to do all of the orchid awards. So part of this business, and when I brought this on, or when I bought it, Abby was doing these huge orchid arrangements. I'm not really an orchid person, but here we are, and I spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on orchids, and I take them around to businesses and do them up, and they've got all kinds of, I don't know, schmutz in it, and people love them. And so I do orchid rotations along with all of the interior stuff. But for this event, they're like a takeaway. So it's like a gift if you win an orchid. So I'm going to be doing that, which is really exciting. I've been in bidding wars to do, another friend of mine works for a marketing company, and it's an event planning, and she had a trucking company that was coming down here, and she had me retrofit a whole green, like they created this, it was made out of plastic, but she was like, I want it covered in plants.
Like the whole truck was covered in plants.
And so I like helped her like retrofit it, and it ended up being like a wild budget. And I was like, I don't even think we can do it for that. But we did it, or, we talked about it, and then they ended up pulling the entire trade show. So it didn't end up happening.
Oh, wow.
But yes, I hate to be that person, like, if you dream it, let's make it happen. But
why not?
When people are like, oh, I really like this one thing, or like there was like a cactus and like a butterfly coming out of it, and I'm like, okay, let's try and make it. Like, why not?
Well, the thing that I've realized is that there's always going to be, you're going to have like your baseline clientele, but there's always going to be people that want that customized thing, that customized touch. No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my own thing that nobody else has.
This is really hard to get to, but when you kill it and you nail it, is legit.
There's always going to be somebody willing to pay for that.
Yeah, and
it's not going to be everybody, but
not everybody, but you can also do it within every budget. You know, like as I mentioned, like sometimes we start with a huge green wall of the entire office, and then we scale it to 3-4 inch plants on a desk. Like it can really come in any shape or size, and that's the fun thing with plants is like if you're like the orchids are cool because I change them with the season, and it's 6 to 8 weeks rotation. So for Mother's Day we do a lot of like pinks and reds and whatever, and then I just did a fall one with like oranges and like yellows and just really like it was still hot when I did it, but it was September at least. But to kind of bring in some color or bring in some different design elements, and that's kind of a fun way to like change it up a little bit. But yeah, the plants, I mean, they're fun. They're fun. So yes, I do some events, but it is hard to have, if you have a disposable income, and money is no object, we can go very big. I mean, trust, the sky's the limit. But if there is a smaller or tighter budget, then I can definitely work with that too.
That's dope.
So.
I just envisioned you inside of your own plant store.
Yeah.
Is that a thing or not at all?
I was in Utah over the summer, and my girlfriend, I worked with her at Gallo, and she took me to this. It was literally like my dream. It was like a full-on like indoor plant.
So
space.
it is on the list.
But then there was like a coffee shop and like an outdoor and like a flower, and I was like, oh my God, this is bad. Like this is like really the dream. And then there was like a growing grounds where you actually could go and like pick out plants and like for outside and take them home. So I mean, this place was amazing. It was magical.
Can you imagine? You have the business going, and then you have this location, this brick and mortar location like you're describing, and then you have all your horticulture student interns coming in, and they show up and they have their little area in back where they're doing and they're learning and like, and there's people coming in buying plants, making orders. Like
it's a dream.
Man,
it's a dream.
That's the vision right there.
It would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. But that's a lot. That's a big jump from where I'm at. So. Maybe when my kids are in college. Have more disposable income. But yeah, it would be pretty cool. And there are, I mean, if you go to places like Pigment or there's a ton, there's a bunch of really amazing nurseries and stuff. But if you're looking for like high-end stuff, you really got to know where to go. I mean, there are definitely times where I'm like, go to Home Depot for that. But I'm not going to steer you that direction for most plants because you do get what you pay for, and who knows how long that employee's been working at Home Depot and they don't really feel like watering one day, or they overwater, whatever. So it's just, at least at a nursery, they're a little more cognizant, I think. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Is there any like advice you would give to somebody? They're coming up, they love plants. Let's say they want to get into plants. Maybe they live in Utah or somewhere. What kind of advice would you give the up and comer?
Buy the plant. Buy it, try it, love it, and have fun with it. I mean, you don't have to spend a ton of money to still have the same enjoyment. I mean, if you really like this kind of plant, just buy it and just enjoy. I mean, isn't that, we're like all about instant gratification, right? And it's like vacuuming your house, right? You like vacuum, you're like, wow, who knew this could look this good, right? It's like when you just do it and you just go for it, just go for it. Just buy the plant. And if you need to do more research, Google it. I mean, I don't know. I guess for me, it's like such a small thing that like one plant leads to another plant and leads to a tree and then leads to another tree. And so it's just like, it becomes this fun growth process.
Right. So what about like the students that you're referring to, that if you had an internship program, they obviously have a certain interest in more than just buying a plant. Right. So like,
well, they're going to school for this.
Right.
I mean, that's why I want to get them while they're in classes, because it's, whatever you decide your major is, I pray that you like that. Right. I mean, I don't know if everyone wants to be in finance or a CPA. Like, that was not my journey. But like for me, sitting in a chemistry class is interesting, but that's just not going to be where I landed. But people who have already enrolled in a horticulture program have already said, I want to learn more about plants. And so there are a few classes that are more business, and I'm actually trying to get my mentor to teach. I'm like pushing her. I'm like, you think you're going to retire? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Such a wealth of knowledge. So to teach and like have this be a funnel, you know? So it's like, come work with me for a day, or you know, come just sit in my cool van and like come around, you know, or my truck or whatever, and like spend the day with me and see what I do. And if you're like, this is not my jam, then at least, you know, like when I started in the wine industry, we had to do a ride along to understand, like, you're in grocery stores at 4 a.m. Like, it's not cute. You have a feather duster and you're in heels and you're begging for display cases of wine. Like, good luck. Do you like this? You know, so I think it's a good way to like
introduce them
to the real world of like, yeah, you're in college and you're studying all day and you're learning all this cool stuff. How do you apply that? So I don't know. I think it's all about like kind of taking people who actually give a shit under your wing and like fostering that and then moving them forward.
Right.
Are you creating content right now?
No. I mean, yes, but no.
She knows she needs to.
No,
I think
content could be off the chain.
I take pictures of everything. Like I'm one of those people, it's really bad. And so I always have like that vision of like, okay, I like stage things and I'm like, this is exactly how I want this post to be. And then 30 seconds later, something else is on fire, or I have to pick up my kids or something. So it's like, I never execute that post, which I know is on me 100%, but I just know, like, I have that vision of like, I want to be better at it, but I just to like, yeah, I know I need you guys. I know.
I feel like for you and what you're doing just organically with the phone on TikTok, talking about the plants, you know, watering the plants,
showing your designs in the office.
Designs.
Yeah.
It's not as pretty or poetic as, I mean, you guys, I'm like literally covered in dirt every single day. It's not cute. Like,
that's texture.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, I'll call that.
That's artistic texture.
Yeah.
We could
but
do,
yes, there is a lot. It is really fun. I posted a picture which I just thought was amazing, and it's so bad, of the back of my van, like what it looks like on a weekly basis. And then I vacuumed it and like organized it. I did before and after. I got so many comments on my van cleaning it. And I was like, I didn't even think people even looked at my page. Like, I mean, I just posted it because for my own, like, oh man, look how good. My van's name is Betsy. I'm like, Betsy looks so good. Like, I've never seen her this clean. This is so great, you know? But it was just, yes, I need to be doing more content.
It'd be cool, like, even like when you're cleaning your van, put your phone on a tripod and doing
time lapse.
Time lapse.
Yeah, I time lapse putting up a green wall, and it was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I did 4 of these walls together, and they looked so rad.
I know for a fact, firsthand, how popular the design is on social media.
Yeah.
Right, like my fiance Lexi, that's all she looks at. Like her algorithm is design and motherhood.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it.
And
she's
it, Lexi. Always, she's always sending me, and it's just like, and the posts are addicting. It's like with the music, and you show this shot, this shot, and I could just totally visualize you showing like these cool plants and like boom, boom, and not only showing the design, but then giving little tidbits about like, hey guys, you don't want to get this plant because of these 3 reasons. Or these are the best plants to have, and you know, like small little info. And I know obviously it takes work, but aside from that aspect of it,
it's on the list.
Could be huge, right? Like that could really blow up. People love that type of stuff, and I would love to learn it. If I log on, I'd be getting plant stuff all day because I'd be like, because we're in the position like we want to outfit our spot with plants. Yeah. Even at home, I want to get more plants, and learning more about fake versus real. And if I knew that I only had to water my plant twice a week, I would probably buy more real plants. Yeah. I don't know.
There is, I guess for me, what was so interesting coming into this, because this was just not like, this was never like a dream I had. Like I was never like, oh, I'm going to be a plant ninja. Like I never thought that this was like my path. I see how excited and nerdy I can get without having that dream or that path.
Right.
And then the people who actually like really, really want to do this, I'm like, where are you at? Like, let's roll, you know, like come and nerd out. And people like you know, a lot of people want plants, but they're like, I don't want to spend the money and then kill it. Or like, it's another thing that I have to
don't know enough.
You need to educate. You need to be on Instagram. You need to start educating.
I know. I'm going to start.
When?
Next Thursday.
Next
The only
Thursday.
reason
today.
is because one of my friends she's in real estate, and I went to high school with her. We met up last week, and she's so fantastic. And she's like, I love plants, and I'm always staging plants because she's always showing houses and flipping houses and stuff. And she was like, if you could like help me, then I would have less on my plate, and I could pay you. And I was like, well, you don't have to pay me. That's another thing I'm really bad at. I'm like, I know I got to stop it. And so she was like, we do on Thursdays, we do videos. So I want you to come in and start doing videos.
I'm going to help you with your first video. You're going to create a video.
All right.
These 3 things are killing your plants.
Love that hook.
Yeah.
1,
Love that hook.
Okay.
overwatering.
Okay.
You want to water just enough to wet the first 2 inches of the soil.
See how that stuck?
Over the next 2 weeks, it will trickle down to the roots.
He's like shoulder rolling, like okay, I see it. All right.
Number
all right.
2,
This is gonna be TikTok right here.
underwatering your plants.
I love it. I love it.
And number 3, buying the wrong plant for the wrong situation.
All
Some
right.
plants need more sunlight. Some plants need less sunlight.
Hired.
Some plants need to be in the shade.
He's gonna be my spokesperson now. This is.
And then
he's
the
wearing
next
green.
video
It's
is the
perfect.
top 3 indoor plants,
Yeah.
or the top 3 this type of plants, or da-da-da-da, like.
I
man.
do. I will say. So I have another plant gal. She's my age or our age, and she's doing a lot of educational videos. So we've talked about doing a little collab sesh and like having Abby come in, and I'm trying to actually get the original founder of this company. It's changed hands, all women owned, and then I think she owned it for like 25 years, and then Abby owned it for 44, and then now I own it, which is kind of cool. So I wanted to get all 3 of us together and do a class or something.
wow.
So there's so much content. There's so much education to be done and to learn. And there's still, I still am learning stuff every day. Like I'll overwater stuff, and I'm just like, I already know how to do this. What am I doing? But if it's fun, like it has to just be fun.
Right.
And I think people get caught in the minutia of just editing or actually doing it, or,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to say pulling the trigger, but
That's why
just
you
do
gotta
it.
That's
It's
why you
like,
gotta have a process for it.
yeah.
Especially to be successful with it, it's
Yeah.
important to have a process for it, because then it will just become that thing that you got to do.
Yeah.
And then that thing that you forget to do, and then
And
you get
that's
stressed
where I'm
out
at.
that you forgot to do it.
And that's where I'm
yeah.
And that's why I
Right.
need an intern that's super fun
Right.
and happy and like 21 or something that I'm like, let's shoot a video
Yeah.
with Shania Twain or something. Like, I don't know. Like, let's do it. Like, yeah. So
And always, you have any questions, you have us here. And we'll
Yeah.
be happy.
I know. Well,
to
I need
answer
you
any
guys because
questions.
I need to be creating content. And I know that you look at 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, and obviously social media was not what it is today, right? Like, it's not that I don't want to be relevant. I do, but I am scared to see what that next step holds, because I'm so bad at saying no, that when people are like, hey, can you come help me? And to be in a place where I'm too busy, or if I'm, taking on too much, I'm
Well, the
nervous for that.
beautiful part of that, I'm too busy.
Watch my YouTube channel. I'm just kidding.
No. So
That's a
you
thing,
increase
right?
you increase your prices.
I'm doing that, and I already am so uncomfortable with that, because
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a hard thing. I think it's hard for a lot of people. I think,
It is.
especially as like a small business owner, like I look at some of these, bigger companies that do the same thing I do, and they, I am kind of like the cleanup crew, right? Like they hire these big companies, they come in, they do a shitty job, and then they're like, hey, who do you use for your plants? Who do you use? And then my name gets tossed in the hat, and then I have to come in and clean up all of the mess of like all the mealybugs and all the pests and all the like, dead trees or whatever. And I just don't want to get to a point where I'm like, no, man, you got to stick with the big guy, because like you can't afford me, or
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
I know. I feel very blessed and very lucky.
Especially if we want to have the relationships, and I don't like. Most people don't mind spending the money
right
for
the value.
best, for the value.
Yeah.
And the person, like they know that you're gonna be there.
Right.
They know that they're not gonna be forgotten. They're just afterthought on
Right.
everything.
And they know you really care.
And they know
Well,
you
I think
really
we
care.
kind of talked about this the other day of just like, being expensive
Right.
and not feeling bad about it.
I
you
did
know?
say that. I was like, we expensive.
I know. I was all, I can't afford you yet. Yet. I need one more client. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's true. Like, especially like with friends and family and stuff. And like,
Right.
my sister's a teacher. Like, she's got a bunch of teacher friends that are like, hey, can we have your leftover orchids? I'm like, absolutely. Does that create so much more work for me? 100%. I mean, it's literally 10 times more work to give somebody a free orchid than it is to just throw it in the trash, which is insane.
Just
right?
say, hey, you can come pick it up.
You gotta pot it. You gotta.
And I want to make it look nice.
Yeah.
It's teacher salary. I know what they make. Like, you know, I want to show up for them. Like,
no,
you know,
teachers make a lot of. Don't listen to the propaganda that teachers are not making money. Teachers are making
Private
six
sector.
figures. High school teachers are making six figures.
Do you want to be a high school teacher? I don't.
For 6 figures? That's your job.
Another conversation for another day.
Fair. Yes.
Don't listen to the propaganda where the teachers are making money. They're making money.
It is hard to stay in your own lane. It is hard to back up your own value, even though you know it's there. Like, you guys, I know, are always going to deliver a good product. You're always going to go above and beyond because that is your name on this business. And like, you take pride in that. And it's the same thing for me. And I guess for me, it's just like taking that next step of being uncomfortable and saying, hey, look, this is what I charge. Like, I mean, I literally bumped it up by $20, which doesn't seem like a big deal. But when you're paying that monthly and it's just somebody who has 3 or 4 plants, it's like,
right.
You know, it's hard. So it's just, you know.
If they get more plants, though, is it still the same price?
It's all based off the plant. So it's how I do it. It's for the non-guarantee and the guarantee. It's literally based off, like, if I had to replace it, if, like, over time, would I incur that cost back? And, like, it's the whole little numbers game. But the bigger the tree, obviously, the more expensive the maintenance is going to be on it. If it's a 4-inch plant, it's not going to be that much. So
you'd probably feel better about charging more corporate clients more, though. Like, were you outfitting a whole office or as a law firm? Like, don't be scared. Just charge them more.
Like, it's that ethics.
I mean, I've had the same issue too. Like, when it came to money, there was always the fear around money. Yeah. And it just honestly takes one leap of faith to get comfortable, and then that person says yes, and then all of a sudden, like, and then you're just totally the mind shift.
Well, because your value is like, I mean, I show up hard for my clients. I show up hard for my girls, my plants. I show up hard for my kids. Like, I want to show up. So for me, it's not just necessarily about the plants. It's about the business and that relationship. And I don't want to taint it. So I just want to make sure that it's solid and that they feel that they're getting the value even when I do bump it up.
You know, what's funny is that I've had conversations with different people, like including barbers and like other businesses. Who was it? Someone else mentioned something about the videography that they did, and they told me the price, and I was like, you need to charge more. Yeah. Like, I remember telling my old barber that I had, I was like, hey, bro, like, I gotta be honest, he's telling me how he's struggling at the thing, they're about to move out. I was like, bro,
you gotta charge
I'm paying literally nothing for this haircut right now. I literally give you almost double in a tip. Yeah. I was like, you need to just charge more. Like, you have a great product. Like, I'm sitting here wondering why you charge so little.
Okay, that's actually, that is another topic for another time, because Dean got a haircut and it was $25, and I was like, why are you only charging $25? Sat in that chair for an hour. Yeah. Like, I mean, I gave him a $50 spot. I was like, thank you, but like, that was, okay, but another time. We'll talk about barbers. But yeah.
But it applies everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a sticker shock because people are like, you water plants?
Right.
Like, they're like, wait, I'm paying you how much to water plants? I mean.
But that's a limiting belief that you have. Have people said that to you?
Yeah, because then also you could be like, well, then do it yourself.
That's fair. But like, one of my accounts, I had 5 stories in one building. I was there for like 4 hours. I was like, you guys, if I charged $125 an hour, you do the math 2 times a month. Like, and then plus some, and they're just like, whoa, that's like way out of our budget. I'm like, remember when we talked about bringing in less plant? Like, so I try and give people like the long term of like, just so you know, like, we're signing a year contract. This is what it's going to cost. Like, I try and be really upfront, but yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to stay little, stay true to who you are, and stay like believing in your value every time it goes up.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And when everything else is going up, the last thing you want to get is a letter from your plant girl that's like, prices are also going up.
Yeah.
Like,
that is the other side of it.
Like, my tax guy sent me that, and I was like, no, bro, I already pay so much money for my taxes. Like, I'm not paying you more. And he was like, it's more. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, sure, but it's more.
It's fine. Okay. I just wanted to throw my piece out there.
Yeah.
Came right back, got it.
I do morally there's that caveat of like
Yeah.
because we talk about like everything's so expensive.
Yeah.
San Diego's so freaking expensive. We're always talking about how expensive everything
Yeah.
is, and then it's like because of that, sometimes we do need to raise our prices, and then you feel like, oh, now that means I'm putting more financial pressure on that, and that's why we decided to really focus our clientele on a certain type.
Yeah.
So your clientele has the money,
Right.
and you feel more comfortable charging those prices, and you know that they have budget for it, and it's not putting any distress on them financially, and then you can provide this high quality service, so they're like, we're paying for the best.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there, like you said, they want to pay for the best.
And people with budgets, they will pay the money. They will pay the best money
Yeah.
because they want the best result. They
Right.
know they don't got to stress. They don't got to like look at
Right.
Wonder
that
if
plant's
it's,
that plant's looking brown.
Yeah.
Needs to be trimmed.
Yeah.
Where's my plant lady? They like people pay so they don't have to think about it. They don't want to have to think about the plants.
That's why I
They
charge
have
a little
so
extra
much
for that
stress in the running a business is extremely stressful. There's
Yeah.
so many moving parts, and it's constant. You're
Quick
dreaming about the problems that you're having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to stress about is like, no, I pay my plant lady.
Yeah.
She comes, she takes care of everything. Love
And I
her.
don't have to worry about it.
They don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it. I'm paying you, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Straight up, I pay my video guy for the content. Don't got to worry about it.
I don't gotta worry about it. I know it's gonna be fine. I know it's gonna
This
be
is
it's
true.
gonna work.
Yeah.
But once it gets to the point where you're gonna have to be sharing some of the work, like, oh, I pay for my plant person, but then I gotta water it once a week, or I gotta worry about this if I forget it, whatever. Then that's just like you're not
That's when it
get-
becomes
yeah.
worth it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be worth it
That's when
then.
becomes worth
Yeah.
it.
So-
And as entrepreneurs, I think that's depending on how big you're trying to go. But either way, the last thing you want as a business owner is to be spread thin.
Right.
Right. And so it's just that constant process of, okay, now how can I buy back a little bit more time here?
Yeah.
How can I buy back, but without sacrificing like the personal touch because that's
Yeah.
your version of the success,
Yeah.
right? You want to be
Yeah.
passionately involved and have personal touch, but you also don't want to be stressed out and spread
Yeah.
thin and driving around every single day to the point where you're just like, I actually don't enjoy this anymore.
Right. Balance.
Right? You want to
balance.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's every day.
Right.
It's constant every day.
But there's something therapeutic and relaxing about watering the plants.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I
why
honestly
people
I
plants?
like laugh about this all the time because I'm just like I'm so happy.
That's why you're doing what you're doing though. Straight
It's
up.
so weird.
That's
Like,
why that's amazing. How
I
many
know
people
it's
sit there and say that?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
And when people are like, "Oh, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm actually really good," and I don't know how
Sorry.
to say that. Like,
Sorry, but I'm doing really great.
Super great. Like
Your job-
I'm kind of thriving. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how to like.
So cool.
You know, I'm busy, but I'm like happily
Yeah.
busy. And like I said, you know, I get to take my kids to school or pick them up or you know take them to soccer,
That's-
and I
that's
you know
great.
it's so important. Like I don't want to miss out on these years and. I get to water play. Like I just like so yes, there's a lot of business stuff. Like
Right.
you know, QuickBooks and there's a lot of bills and a lot of stuff. Like it's it's hard. but-
Your job is adding years to your life, not
Oh,
taking away.
Breathing in a lot of oxygen, like
Yeah.
a lot of.
So
yeah.
maybe that's a person to hire is just, and I hate that I always do this, but an admin person, just someone to
I
handle all
know.
that crap that you don't want to do. The QuickBooks stuff,
I'm starting.
the billing, the processing,
I'm
all
starting. Yep, I just hired a new QuickBooks person.
Okay, cool.
So I'm like,
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just
that.
who's
Exactly.
gonna help me? So,
Yeah.
so I can just sit there and water, as you say, it's therapy.
Therapeutic.
Yeah. So.
Man, well, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You're amazing. I loved learning about everything that you did. I've
You guys
been
learned a little bit about plants.
exactly.
It's always
Yeah.
fun, so.
Can't wait to throw this one up there and give you a
Yeah.
couple because you definitely dropped some gems. So we'll make sure you get those clips so you can show the
All right,
world.
Perfect.
You know,
I'm excited. I'm
so.
excited. Well, thank you guys for having me. This was such a pleasure to not only spend the afternoon here and hang
Yeah.
out and see this awesome
Yeah, thank
space
you for
that is
coming by.
going to have more plants in it really soon.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. This is
Would
awesome.
you like to shout out where people can find you?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
What?
they can.
Give us your
Business
company name,
your
Instagram,
phone
your
number,
website.
website,
I-
IG
I
handles.
don't know
Look right there
my
into the
IG
camera.
handles. My business name is Simple Roots Plant Design, and I just shoot me an email. I guess it's Sally SALLY at srplantdesign.com, and I'm on. I think I'm on Instagram. I am on Instagram. Not often.
She's about to be popping
but
on
I'm
Instagram
about
now.
to be popping off.
Yeah.
And it's I think just Simple Roots Plant Design, or just Google that. I'll double check that.
We'll put the link in the bio.
We'll put our info in
the
there.
link
Don't
in the
worry, we
bio.
got you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
But
right,
yeah,
Sally.
it's exciting. So all good things. All good
Sally,
things,
it was a pleasure having you here
Yeah.
today.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So fun.
You're an amazing
So fun.
podcaster.
Let's
All right.
let's see in a couple of years what happens. Right?
Well, this is the Get Louder podcast.
Hit him with the outro.
We out.